And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Week 4, Day 1. We've seen a couple of exciting matches already. And, Clement, we are going to see even more, I think, as we go forward. But before we get into our next match tonight, I would like to take a brief moment to thank our wonderful sponsors. They are CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. Thank you for making the PCS possible. And now, Clement, our next match is going to be Mega Bank Beyond Gaming taking on the Berjaya Dragons. And these are two teams with inverted score lines right now. Beyond have been looking pretty good. Berjaya, well, they suffered a loss last week that I don't think they expected.
Yeah, dropping to Liab is also always one of those things that you don't really want to see if you're a team trying to contest for a playoff spot. Berjaya didn't manage to lose to Liab, but still get into playoffs in spring. They want to keep that streak going right on until now. On the other side, I think Beyond Gaming has had a lot of recent shakeups that we have seen. The biggest of them being that Liang has been starting in most of their recent games over PK, who was more of the tank player. On the other side, we do have a continuation of Varus picks coming out from Doggo. So they're shifting from more of an Aphelios-based team to a more tempo-based and early game aggression-based team. And I think the biggest benefactor we've actually seen out of this change has actually been the jungler. Pusha has been on such a tear recently. We saw that Diana play earlier on in their matches, and he was able to get 4-man move falls, chain everything correctly with Mawan. It was really a joy to see. So, Beyond Gaming, I still think they kept on to their strengths, but with the new roster mix, with the new emphasis on playing more early game tempo, they are going to be closing out games a lot faster.
They certainly have been, not without a couple of cracks showing in the armor. We have seen, as you mentioned, PK, the more traditional tank player, has been seen less and less, and we've seen Liang really back in the starting roster, and you can see a little bit of a start for this team. Looks like maybe Liang giving a little bit of last-second meditation before everything kicks off. Let's take a look at their opposition on the other side. Berjaya Dragons. They are Ozzy, Arashi, Minji, K2, and Enzo. This is a team that's made a couple of swaps themselves, but they have stuck to this core for a couple of weeks now, with Enzo making a full-on role swap down into the support position and Arashi coming in. Still the best headset game in the league.
Oh, it seems like Arashi has also moved to a different location. No longer the same setting. I wonder if the cat is still there. That's the
real question. Are we going to get the cat cam in this one? That's a very important question to ask, Clement.
Yeah, they had a nice, gray cat roaming around Arashi's background, but wonder if that's gonna still come up. In the meantime, K2, obviously, he's a keyboard player, but not looking very happy. Probably still sullen that he wasn't able to cash in those Draven stacks from earlier on.
Yeah, it always feels bad when you go out of your way to pick the Draven and you just get completely denied the Adoration cash in. Let's take a look at our comparison. Today it will be the top lane matchup between Liang and Ozzy. Liang definitely has had a little bit of a better split so far, even though he's only played so many of the games. Ozzy, on the other hand, he's had some interesting choices, getting hands on the Nocturne as well before that nerf came through. But both these players kind of share a penchant for these side lane terror champions.
Exactly why you take Liang over PK is if you want to diversify your options in the side lane. It gives them a lot more opportunity 1-3-1 on Beyond Gaming's side. While on the other side, Ozzy is sort of your sole split pusher as well. If he is going to early pick a champion, it's usually Gwen or Camille, but he has a whole host of counter picks as well, as we've seen in the Fiora, and also he still plays the Gnar. It's an old trick of his, but he loves that one. If we take a look at the stats, though, there is something a little bit worrying coming out from Liang, is that his laning phase has not been all that terrific coming back from the hiatus. The negative 681 gold at 15 minutes is actually one of the lowest in the entirety of the PCS. So that's definitely something that he needs to patch up against, and it could be something that Ozzy runs away with.
Yeah, and I think Ozzy is one of those players that if he gets an opportunity to try and win out a lane and start snowballing, he'll certainly take it. We'll have to see if Arashi pays some mind up to the top side of the map. And, it certainly should be explosive. If this was PK in the top side, I'd say no, that's just going to be a farm fest, right? But not the case when you have the likes of Liang.
And Gwen is going to be that one champion where everyone bans away from Ozzy exactly right off the bat.
First a lot of ban, people, no messing around.
Yeah, this is pretty standard. Berjaya is still one of those teams that can only find wins on specific champions. Another few of those champions have been the LeBlanc, the Lee Sin, and actually the Varus for K2. So Berjaya has always been a very easy team to sort of deny in terms of just the drafting phase. You can force them on one way or the other. And typically, the way I like playing against Berjaya is to come with a lot of engage. Their best compositions are things that utilize poke. So either the Ezreal or the Zoe, like we see banned out right here, or their other composition is a 4-1. So engage always works out very well against Berjaya, and you're never bad about just like cramming as much of it as possible in your compositions.
And for a team like Beyond Gaming, it's kind of right in their wheelhouse. A lot of it is what they want to do. Berjaya will finish out their bans with a couple of targets, that Silas being taken away from Mao on his most played champion. Although it's kind of an affectation here, Clement, because there's so many champions that Mao has played. He's flexed such a huge pool. That does leave Viego up, and it is going to be first picked. Very rare we actually see that making it through, as it usually does occupy the first bans.
And so far, only Husha has played Viego on Beyond Gaming, so we should expect that to go directly into the jungle. Not too much of a flex potential coming out from this pick on their team. For Berjaya, this does mean Thresh and likely Aphelios open if they decide to go for it. Beyond Gaming has been known to be a team that will take away your Aphelios if you take Thresh first. Like, they are perfectly happy to run Aphelios Braum and to deny you your Thresh pick. Because if you pick Thresh and you don't have Aphelios, it actually feels pretty bad. So I do want Berjaya to actually lock that in, but they're not going to go for it. They're going to go for the Xin Zhao instead. Very strong pick. Definitely commendable to go for that one. And it does give Beyond Gaming the potential option to snag the Aphelios away if they choose to.
Although we have been talking about how Doggo has been much more of a Varus player lately, and if they want to commit to that, you can see that there's probably a little bit of a discussion happening on whether or not that's going to be the choice, and I think it will get locked in. So Beyond are, I suppose, confident that they can give that away. Doggo has been a pretty terrifying bottom laner, although he's lost a couple of lanes unexpectedly. So maybe there are opportunities for Berjaya.
I wonder if Benny, the coach, has given him the sort of ultimatum that he can only pick Varus from now on, because this is his 5th straight Varus game. It feels like Beyond Gaming are just going to hard force the champion until they can win with most of the compositions.
Perhaps, yeah.
No, I was talking with Nightstar about this, but I do feel like there are a lack of Drake teamfight-oriented teams in the PCS so far. We have seen a lot of Varus plus Rumble compositions coming out from the LCK, but those have been, for the majority, absent in the PCS. I don't think we've actually had a single game where those two champions were picked together. So we'll see if Beyond Gaming tries to occupy that space that is untaken so far in the PCS. While Berjaya, they should count themselves lucky, but they do get the Aphelios, even though it is countered by the Varus.
Yeah, very true. Still trusting in the K2 Enzo combination if they need it. Ban away on the bottom side, or rather on the red side, I should say, is going to be that Azir. It was flashed earlier by Maoan. Although Maoan hadn't locked it yet, Azir does kind of seem to step up as the new hotness when LeBlanc is predictably banned away. And then a Lulu ban, cheeky against Minji there.
It's pretty much a staple of the meta these days. We have also seen Alpha Esports play this with Lulu plus Xin Zhao. It's just a incredibly difficult 2v2 to get away from. And if you're playing Viego, you have to be very careful about that composition. Viego doesn't have the best of mobility early on. Can fall quite easily before he gets the Heartbreaker. So not a huge surprise here. In the meantime, I do want to point out this is actually K2's first Aphelios game so far. They haven't gone for this whatsoever. They've stuck much more towards the Ezreal.
He's played a lot of champions bot side. He's played the Draven, we mentioned. He even played a Corki. We haven't seen the Aphelios till now. I'm curious to see what he makes of it. And that Mordekaiser ban away by Beyond. It was flashed earlier on by the Berjaya Dragons.
This is what we call Inception. You hover something, you don't pick it, and then you waste a ban from the enemy team. Actually, not sure what Beyond Gaming really want to ban away from this point on. What Berjaya Dragons looks like they're drafting for is some sort of a front-to-back composition, but it's very unusual for them to have Ozzy on a tank. So if I'm thinking about Ozzy as champion pool and what he has to play that is half frontline-ish, then I'm thinking about Renekton or Gnar. I think those are the two champions that he's most likely going to go for, especially if you lack the Chameleon. you have to expect the Renekton coming out from the other side. Now Beyond Gaming does have to go for a mid lane pick here. It could be a first here, as we have
Viego
not seen
mid.
Mon on the Viego ever.
Yeah, that could be possible. Even though we weren't expecting it, as it has been a much more of a Husha champion. Last second, no, they'll swap it up and we'll go for the Galio. Okay.
You get pushed in lane, but I think Galio, it's just, I think it fits the composition a lot more. You get the Cannonball composition. We have seen Trundles go mid, but I don't consider that a particularly serious pick coming in from the LCK. And like we said, you know, if you're going up against Berjaya, always pack a ton of engage. Like, most of their compositions are countered out just by strong engage.
Oh!
So I like the fact that everyone is here.
I like the Jax pick from Ozzy. This is bold.
Let's go!
Yeah,
it's a lot more
look at that
fun than
team.
watching Renekton.
Look, oh, absolutely. Look at this team. I feel like this can be like some 1-3-1 shenanigans now.
I don't think it's a 1-4-1 team necessarily, yeah, but it's more of a 4-1 with good wave clear and great scaling. So Beyond Gaming are the ones that actually have to pick up the tempo here and play much, much faster than they otherwise would be willing to. We do have Beyond Gaming, I think their comp is focused on pick and more of those early Drake fights, while Berjaya, they just want to go in a late game. You go to 35 plus minutes, Jax absolutely destroys Camille. He does have an extra ultimate that works in terms of combat stats, while Camille's is more of a catch potential item, more of a utility ultimate. So he's going to win out that lane later into the game. And then you have 200 years backing you up by an Orianna ball. So I love what Berjaya has drafted for, and it does deal really well with, I would say, Beyond Gaming in Spring Split, or Beyond Gaming were this super slow juggernaut. But I feel like Beyond has evolved. They are a much faster team at this stage, and if they get those early Drakes rolling, they're going to force Berjaya Dragons to engage with them.
Yeah, and that could be trouble for Berjaya. Remember, this is a team that's sitting on 3 and 8, had lost out to Liang, really just trying to hang on as we go further and further into the split, because even though 8 out of 10 teams will end up in the playoffs, you can't afford to drop too many if you're on the cusp of that, and Berjaya are one of them. Difficult to beat a team like Beyond Gaming, who just have been on a tear, despite a loss to Boom Esports, of course. But Berjaya have a plan. That plan is wait till late game and let Jax push in hard on the side. Will Beyond let them do it with this catch composition? I like the cannonball terminology. It's always fun when everyone's able to press the R buttons and fire off the shots. Will Beyond add to their tally, or will we see a big old upset in favor of the Berjaya Dragons? We're about to find out. Summoner's Rift fogs over for just a second.
Ooh, and we have some cheese right off the bat here. A full 5-man stack heading towards the bot lane with a potential Thresh hook.
To Summoner's Rift.
Oh boy. I do like this. Now, if this is sniffed out, Beyond might play the safe
30
one.
seconds until minions spawn.
I think they know something's up.
Yeah, they're not gonna not gonna fall for this one. And Beyond Gaming is gonna get a bit more of a lead out of their level 1s. Taking a look at the runes, we do have Conquerors from Jax. Pretty normal here. He was buffed a couple of patches ago, and once Triforce, the new Triforce came out for Summer Split, I feel like Jax is actually in quite a decent position. It's just that Renekton is still so strong in the meta that you see Jax's just kind of disappear for the most part when Renekton is up. However, in this matchup, he does have a lot of chances to just outright punish the Camille. Camille does get a bit of a lead early on, but once you get into like level 5, level 7, Jax in the middle of the lane can just all in on Camille. And Camille is going to find it very difficult to get hook shots in some situations, and that will give Jax a pretty big lead. But early on, you should still expect a tactical swipe to be there for Liang, and Camille usually wins for the first few levels. On the flip side, we have Arashi. He's already been spotted out with his start, which does give Husha a lot of potential to just avoid the Xin Zhao completely. I think that's the one point in the early game that I would be a little bit cautious for on Beyond Gaming side, is that Xin Zhao versus Viego early game does not go well for the Viego, so he has to be pretty careful about it.
Okay. Starting off in our bottom side, though, you know, even though Doggo has changed his tune with regards to like the type of champions he's been playing, he's still playing very aggressively. We saw that get punished against Boom Esports. But for the most part, he still kind of just wrecks lanes, and he just bullying. Between Doggo and Kino, just the bully. And yep, there's that Scream emote from Kino.
You remember last week where Machi had a full team-wide face mask with the Scream?
It was great coordination.
It really showcases team synergy.
Yeah,
as we have Fusha on a very early gank.
Whoa. Oh, Maoan, that's a optimistic flash, you might say. Minji with the spam. Oh, wow, look at top. Liang actually taking a lot of punishment from Ozzy on that counter-strike. Kind of surprised that much damage was dealt, and even gets a little bit more from the leap.
I really didn't expect this coming out from Camille. Usually he's able to stay ahead in this matchup earlier on, but hasn't really been the case for Liang here. And that was something that we were talking about when we were looking at the player stats, is that Liang has been having a lot of difficulty in lane. I felt like Ozzy came out of the trade just winning from level 1, getting the free auto attack, meaning that he was up bone plates, and then snowballing that further into a level 2 lead. So really well done here. And he actually forces Liang into an early teleport.
Yeah. So the map starts to go a little bit lopsided and tilts a bit. Berjaya favored on the top side, well, Beyond Gaming, to no surprise, really favoring on the bottom. But it's not a huge advantage, it's just a big push in. Husha has kind of hovered around here. You have to think, with this amount of time investment, maybe he wants to go for a dive, but he gets spotted very quickly by that ward. K2 and Enzo should respect this, and he's just going to, in fact, be going for some counter jungling.
Now, I think there's no way they're going for this down a TP, but it looks like Arashi will try to catch them out here.
Arashi, okay, Enzo went fishing for the hook, didn't quite find it, actually flashes the wall into the play. They really wanted first blood, and they will secure it. Arashi picking it up, and they might have more as Kino can't quite get away. Nicely played by the Berjaya Dragons.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Husha. He did not expect to be spotted going in for the counterplay there, and I felt like that was just way too over-aggressive. Meanwhile, if you look at the top lane, Ozzy also just held on to that. He had that extra TP lead here, and oh man,
we got the 1v1. Oh, Ozzy trying to walk out, and he does. Ignite for flash burn there.
Really nice mind games there. He actually had all of the cooldowns up, and he just threw all of his damage onto Ozzy rather than going for the canyon, and Ozzy kind of just fell for that one, took a bunch of free damage going into it. Now we have the 2-man potential dive coming in.
Yeah, Ozzy actually stopped his back, and now teleports coming in on both sides. Ozzy's still hanging in here as Minji and Arashi are around. Ozzy, you've got to be careful. That Winds of War nearly deletes him.
They do say the best players play at the utmost to their limitations, and I think this is what Ozzy is trying to do. He's giving me a bit of a sweat here.
Yeah,
he just survived everything in the end.
I believe that is an appropriate time for a Monka S. Berjaya Dragons, though, hold on. 2-0 in the kills. Gold advantage in their favor, and you know, against a team like Beyond Gaming, that is no mean feat, so well played so far.
Yeah, and Beyond Gaming, the weird thing about them is most of their early game tempo with the Varus plays has not actually been that well. And a lot of times it's not really about Doggo himself, but how the team plays around it. I do feel like Husha tends to go over-aggressive in terms of counter jungling and trying to get his lead when he thinks he has a winning lane. But sometimes a winning lane doesn't actually transfer into your lane arriving faster. And that's especially true for counter jungling, especially if you're counter jungling against the red side. On the bottom half of the map, that is typically the case where the team that's actually pushed in can rotate a little bit faster. And I felt like Husha was just a victim to that, where now Arashi has a sizable lead in the river right now, and I think he did spot out Husha. We saw the question marks paying out, and so able to walk up.
My goodness. Yeah, really tracking well here, and Arashi even matching on the pressure. Husha just hasn't really been able to get anything done in this game. And, oh, this is cheeky. Ozzy's even going to steal away the blue buff.
He doesn't really want to stay in lane. We do have the Hextech ultimatum for Camille, and he saw the jungler there, so just a very easy takeaway. And that's the problem with Viego jungle, you know, he's not much of a duelist early on.
Okay, ooh, Enzo taken very low here as the Ignite ticks through. Meanwhile, Arashi could be dead. He does tag his way onto the dragon. Smites for a health. Oh, and he's gonna die.
Drake, come on, Mountain Drake.
No, he gets away. I don't believe it. Arashi, you madman.
How to Have a Pet Dragon, written by Beyond Gaming there. Nearly gets the kill down there, but we have to commend Arashi not throwing his damage onto the target, instead looking for the escape plan there. Tags it with the wind becomes lightning and allows him to use Audacious Charge at extra range. So he manages to get out of that one. Leon does realize that there is a potential for the Cannon Barrage to come his way and forces Ozzy to back out immediately. Ozzy's still considering if he wants to walk back in. He does have help here.
It is a level disadvantage, but he knows he's got the dual lane at his back. And actually just starts to go ahead and clear away the minions, trying to deny an extra plate here from Leon. Usha, meanwhile, solo starts up the Rift Herald, and that should get spotted, yep, as Enzo places down a control ward. A lot of members congregating here.
Beyond Gaming. Now, we actually are going to have Berjaya with their bottom lane a little bit faster here, even though Beyond Gaming are the, in my opinion, stronger of the Herald teams.
Yeah, it's 4v3, though. And actually, Herald's going to get re-aggroed, but Beyond has spent a lot of time doing this as they let it fully reset. Honeyfruit healing up Ozzy. And now it actually tags over. It seems like Beyond are giving this up.
Yeah, Arashi at this point still has a sizable advantage over Husha. I don't think you really want to take this Herald fight before Heartbreaker. It just makes Viego such a weak champion.
Kino,
go in.
Let's see if they get to play here, and Arashi is going to get stopped up, and they just tag team onto him. The cannonball lands, but only onto one member. Minji, meanwhile, takes a little bit of poke on the out. But trading a jungler for Rift Herald, certainly not the worst thing in the world.
You know, so I would say still a small win for Berjaya coming into this one. I think the objective allows them a lot more time to scale up and funnel that gold where they really want it to go, especially in this topside matchup, for that matter. But Beyond Gaming definitely with the correct play there. They back off, they get 6 on Viego first, and then they come back into the fight knowing that they have ultimate and just the snipe down potential from multiple members here. Minji throws out the shockwave, but very ineffective against the rest of the team. And now I think the question is just where we will see...
Yeah. Wait a minute, yeah, Ozzy, oh, the taunt!
Oh,
man,
nearly.
That tag team, if that hadn't happened at that exact moment, I think Ozzy wins the trade.
Yeah, Ozzy would have won that trade for sure, but gets taunted by Leon just a little bit. And that means that with those sort of leads, Leon could potentially keep this lane shoved up to the point where the Herald isn't going to look that attractive for them. But I think Berjaya is probably looking for other avenues here. We do see them congregating on the bottom side. But still no opportunities to really start this one.
Yeah, they're going to have to try and find an angle somewhere, and, you know, it seems like it's a little difficult with the way Beyond are playing. All the same, still pretty even game. As advantages kind of compound across either side. Good roams from Berjaya Dragons, really setting themselves up on this map. And it seems like, you know, playing to try and match any pressure Beyond bring out. Beyond have played, you know, a little bit slower perhaps this game. They tried a couple of things, but the biggest win really up there with the tag team onto Ozzy.
So a couple things in terms of the itemization that we should point out is at this item breakpoint, we should have Doggo pushing against K2 quite easily now. He does have the serrated Dirk up already. And on the flip side, Berjaya Dragons are trying to counteract that by playing more towards the bottom side of the map as well. They don't want that bottom lane to snowball into a Drake take. So we do have Arashi here, and I do like this idea. They do have the timer on blue buff. So they could potentially use blue buff timer as just a way to get a free Drake. A very common play that we see red side do against blue side. And it looks like they're just going to cancel out the advantage that Doggo has, give that over to K2 and the Aphelios.
That's bot side pop on the Rift Herald. So all around now, I don't know if they want the dive. Husha actually does come in for the intercept, and immediately they decide they have to turn out of here because the teleport does complete. Maoan and Liang coming through. It was 2 teleports, and the Thresh Box is perfect to deny the engagement. Enzo, that was clutch.
Really well done there, and it was unfortunate timing for Beyond Gaming, but if you look at the cooldowns, Liang was 2 seconds off of his Hextech ultimatum from coming up. So he teleported, did not find a kill, and the only thing they get is the Drake for their troubles right there. Meanwhile, Ozzy is definitely the biggest benefactor of this one. He gets some free time, is likely going to get 2 plates here as he pops the Counter-Strike for double uses on his Sheen, and yep, gets 320 gold for that one play.
Yeah. Jax getting to do Jax things is always going to be great if you're the team with the Jax. Always going to be horrible if you're the team without. Wow, quick flash. Ozzy did not want to tango with Liang a level down. So he makes his great escape and burns the summoner for it.
Yeah, I think he actually still would have been fine given the situation, but I didn't really want to risk the Galio coming in. So just
He's seen that one happen before.
Yeah.
All right. Ooh, speaking of flashes, immediate Doggo just full-on respects the Aphelios ult. And Doggo's been playing a little safer this game than we saw previously, despite the forward positioning.
You know, funnily enough, that was actually just a wave clear coming in from K2. You know, he goes fishing, and sometimes you hit some monster fish off the river.
Yeah. Doesn't matter if you were going for it, something might take the bait. All the same, Berjaya holding on to a slim gold lead in this one. Dragon really the only objective difference, but meanwhile, yep, there we go. Liang not going to re-engage onto Ozzy. And this does start to feel like the point of the game where Ozzy's going to be a little bit more confident in his 1v1 ability. It's just, the problem is, it's not really a 1v1, is it?
Yeah, it's more about the back timings right here. Ozzy has not gotten a chance to go back and finish up his Triforce. So he's stuck in this awkward position playing up against a mythical item. It's going to take him a while. I think he's going to play a lot more aggressively on the next back, but for now, his options are limited.
Yeah, I think he's going to walk away from this one. Liang does force him out, so that should be the end of it. Ooh, look at this. Husha actually coming up. They might want to go for a dive. Meanwhile, K2 should help Berjaya Dragon secure first brick. And let's check it out. It looks like Ozzy did get out in time, so it's just going to be a tower trade.
So I do like this line of play coming in from Ozzy. He didn't decide to teleport back early. Instead, he was willing to stay in lane with a deficit and then potentially come back with TP with Herald up. So there's a common sequencing of plays. Like if you want to time your backs, sometimes it's worth it to save your basically scuff parts of your laning phase to get a better back timing in terms of your team fight objective. So that's what Ozzy is doing here. Didn't really get a chance to use the TP just yet. And this is sort of interesting, but he's not actually going to go for the Triforce, which is more of the standard build.
Sunder, yeah, okay. Ooh, Enzo. He was caught snoozing right there. Does throw that in the box. The rest of Berjaya should be able to hop the wall to turn onto Kino. They go for their own cannonball here, and Ozzy opens up with a kill.
Yeah, but Berjaya are a little bit late on that Herald play here. Ozzy going in, knows that he has backup. He finally get the chase to slow down.
Oh, it doesn't have flash, but he does have the hop and the counter-strike to get some damage onto Husha. Arashi tags in onto Liang, but they give as good as they get. And that's going to come to a big fat nothing.
Sometimes when fruit isn't good for you, slows down Ozzy, doesn't get the counter-strike, and Arashi doesn't find the target.
It was stuck to his
becomes
shoe.
lightning either.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. Ooh, oh no, Ozzy. I don't think he expected the tag in, but now there's a teleport follow through. And Ozzy's still fighting this one as Maoan comes in. They turn again, trying to find the shockwave. Minji forces the flash away from Maoan, and it's just a lot of quick fingers on those flashes today.
I feel like both teams are playing incredibly jumpy today. Both of them have suffered from pretty bad losses coming in from week 3, so I think they're looking for some redemption arcs on both sides, but so far beyond gaming, I don't think they have found decisive team fights, and for Berjaya's side, you know, they've been scaling up okay. Like, this is not a team comp you expect to win out early game, so if you're still on a gold lead and it's 16 minutes with the opponent only on 1 Drake, then you're feeling pretty okay about this.
Yeah, I think they certainly will be. Taking a look at how the gold's gone this game, it has swung just a little tiny bit, but Berjaya certainly have been holding on to it. Nice death rush here, setting up, trying to bait. If Doggo and Kino wander through, that ward looks so tasty, doesn't it, Kino? Nah, they're going to be able to walk away from it as they do see the hook go wide, just fishing. Not going to find anything.
Yeah, I think Kino at this point is experienced enough where he isn't going to go for that dangly ward here. This is an interesting move by Beyond Gaming. They're giving over the Drake in order to further the lead onto the Camille.
Ozzy's not going to be able to contest this, and if he sticks around, he might die. Arashi will be able to solo out Ocean, trying to equalize in the Drake's numbers. It does seem like Berjaya are a few steps behind right now, in terms of the tempo.
I do like this idea coming in from Beyond Gaming, but they might be going in too deep.
Oh, that's going to be the Hextech Ultimatum, the full-on teleport coming through. Enzo walking away, and Ozzy was nowhere to be found after all of that. Good collapse from Beyond Gaming to find the kill and the turret.
And they're still holding on to the Herald throughout all of this. I'm pretty surprised by this one. You know, they could have dropped him mid lane. They do get a great kill here, keeping Ozzy down and making sure the 4-1 doesn't happen.
Aggressive Chains of Corruption does not land, and the hook does pull in Doggo, who goes golden, but he trusts his team with the bait. Doggo almost lives, but Husha will claim him. Or excuse me, not Husha. I saw the Viego and got confused.
Does get the Calibrum Stipe at the very end there, so decent trade back. And, you know, Husha... did he drop Herald throughout that point?
He did drop Herald. He dropped Herald at the very beginning.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
a little bit of a chaotic fight. I would love to see that in a replay again.
So, pretty interesting moves across the map. I like the mind games here from Beyond Gaming. What they're saying is that Berjaya Dragons is going to be more focused on scaling, and they want to make sure that essentially Beyond Berjaya is going to head for the Drake while they get immediate gold onto the top side. They transition this into the mid lane. They know that they have numbers advantage. Unfortunately, the trade goes even for them, and that's definitely a favorable trade on K2's end as they trade support for AD carry there, and they get both sums on the side of Doggo. So, you know, Berjaya Dragons actually have a bit of an advantage here when it does come into the 5v5s. I think they're at the point where K2 is far ahead enough that I'm willing to start looking for potential Drake fights. Even though I'm the scaling composition, I'd be willing to go for it.
No, I think that's a fair do. Again, we're seeing Doggo kind of playing very aggressively forward. He gets punished for it. Minji, meanwhile, does get found by 2. The root is pretty huge. Shockwave only pulls Mao on as Husha, undeterred, turns his attention, and he's going to be looking for it, forcing the flash out of Minji, in tags Arashi and Enzo, and it's just baits back and forth. Easiest hook of Enzo's life. Maoan goes golden, boxes down, taunts on, doesn't seem to matter. He's going absolutely nowhere, and Husha, he probably should have been running for the hills because he's now forced to flash under the relative safety of the turret. And the hook pulls him back in again. They go for the dive. And Husha, he just tries to tank it all up, even Arashi staying alive through it all. Meanwhile, Ozzy 2v1, and I think Doggo would have claimed him, but Liang said, no, this one's mine.
And that's absolutely necessary for the Camille to start taking these kills. Even in the 2v1, it looked like Ozzy had a lot of fight in him in that situation. On the top side, very unfortunate for Husha. He actually ends up missing everything. Doesn't get the Spectral Maw to land. And Heartbreaker also was dodged away by Minji. That could have been a fight where they came out victorious. We're going to be looking at the bottom side, which we missed earlier on. Really nice play by Ozzy here. As you can see, Liang having trouble, despite him being up 2 levels at the start of that fight, and also being up a Tiamat. You can see the dueling potential of Jax is just getting online slowly. Even gets away an Ignite into that one. So, always very crucial to make sure that Liang actually stays ahead, and I like the rest of the team is willing to pitch in and just make sure that he lands the kill at the very end.
Yeah, it's a little difficult for Liang to go for a 1v1 against the Jax, even with Hextech Ultimatum at this point, but he has friends at his back, and they're able to secure the kills all the same. Still very close in the gold game. Berjaya Dragons keeping it to Beyond Gaming as they look for that scaling in their favor. Dragon will hit the Rift in a minute. That's going to be the Cloud that we have the Rift of today. And so,
I just want to say that the most impressed I've ever been with Minji is always when he's running away. Like I feel like that is when the best of Minji really showcases itself. You remember that LeBlanc game where he dodges out on like 2 ultimates and 3 abilities in like 5 seconds, and the rest of the team is just standing in the middle of mid lane with nothing up, and they just win. That's like the Berjaya special, you know?
Yeah. No, Minji plays weak side mid lane. It works.
Exactly. He was like a dodgeball champion in elementary school or something. That's it's really amazing.
Well, that would
to
explain
watch.
his Oriana pick.
Yeah, I just feel like Berjaya, a lot of times they're a really slow team, and they rely so much on Minji being slightly out of position, but being able to survive at the end to just drag the game out.
He does have really
And
insane
to their
mechanics.
credit, it actually works.
Yeah, it's a strange strategy, right? Like, and you know, how, we talk about how it's like, oh yeah, you know, he just gets away. I think it's just the team they know how to capitalize on chaos.
True. Honestly, he made Pusha look like a fool in that last play. Like, he rooted him with the Everfrost, dodged every ability that he had, and was just, okay, Minji does Minji things. Great.
That's how it be. All right, Cloud Dragon taken here by the likes of Beyond. Meanwhile, ooh, only landing a single taunt. K2 actually making escape. Kino coming in, and that's the Cannonball comp coming up and down. The rest of Beyond funneling through. Not a lot of follow-up damage, but Berjaya get away, and they didn't need the fight because look at the Jacks.
Yeah, strong win coming in from Berjaya. They get immediate gold. Beyond Gaming, they do get both summoners from K2, though. I do want to mention that. That's quite important coming into Baron territory there. But you shall rue the day that you almost caught Minji. It's almost impossible. He seems to always get away with everything.
Yeah, K2 sends out a zoning ult. Daga says, okay then. Yeah, Baron coming up is definitely going to change the calculus just a little bit. But you're right. Minji is just insane at escaping. Got to give the man his due.
We do have a very clear target this time on K2, though, so if we have Beyond Gaming coming out with a lot of pinks, they could deny the Dark Passage into this. I feel like this is actually a decent time for Beyond Gaming to start forcing around Baron, because Jax isn't that far ahead just yet. He's not going to have that much pressure in the side lanes. You can still deal with him at this point, and K2 doesn't have summoners for the next 3.5 minutes. So this is probably Beyond Gaming's best chance to start fishing for massive teamfight wins around the Big Purple World.
I think you're right. They are starting to congregate there to get some vision secured. Berjaya, to their credit, going to try and keep that all cleared, but it's going to be a little difficult. Pusha and Kino in death rushes. Arashi going to face check right into it, but they've got enough people there to where Beyond can't really contest right now. You know, flip side, Clement, for the Beyond Baron focus is, what if they end up doing, you know, kind of a 1-2-3 combo onto the likes of Ozzy, that might actually open up a Baron for the Berjaya side of things. So on the flip side, Beyond have to be a little careful about how deep they want to dive to claim a kill or two.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to execute a dive onto Ozzy until Galio gets his TP up. After that, Malin can definitely join in the split second, but very audacious. This is super brave coming in from Berjaya. I feel like they're actually handing their opponents a perfect win condition with starting this Baron.
They want to teleport in. Look at where Ozzy's positioning right now. Don't think they want the fight, though. All right, yep, that's going to be time to leave. Yeah, everybody gets the message, just some free pressure.
There was no way that they were going to get a good fight out of that play. They really aren't that far ahead where they can expect to win a straight-up 5v5. And there's no summoners on K2, so I don't think that was worthwhile for Berjaya. And they do give up mid-tower plus the entire Baron Pit vision for that play.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. Maybe a little bit bold or possibly a little desperate. Not really sure. Berjaya just kind of sensed they had an opportunity to try something, didn't have the damage to pull it off, and ended up losing out on a mid-turret for it. But to be honest, that mid-turret probably had a long and happy life. I think it was ready to go.
Do you ever wonder where turrets go after they're taken down?
Oh, no, don't do this to me, Clement. I can't have that on my conscience either. Isn't everything on the Rift just impermanent, right? You know? No, it goes into like the magical ether and then respawns the next game. That's what I like to think.
Yeah. It's just like
I believe in Rift reincarnation. That's my philosophy.
When I first started playing MOBA games, I was so afraid about committing minion genocide. But League of Legends, there's just like, oh no, they're actually just kind of like computer machines. You know, they're animatronics. It doesn't matter if you kill them or not.
There you go. Yeah, see, it's Riot trying to make us feel a little bit better for killing lots of minions. Now, Poros, on the other hand, if you don't feed the Poros in an ARAM, that is a horrible thing.
True. I think the only like characters I wouldn't mind killing in large numbers are probably Yordles. Those are actually just evil, so
I mean,
it's okay.
Yordles are like just little fuzzy murder balls. They're basically the League of Legends. I mean, Yumi exists, but they're basically cats, just smarter.
Yeah. Yeah, you're actually making me feel bad. I feel a lot closer to cats than I do feel to Yordles. 'Cause, like
Well,
Teemo,
Yordles are like evil, and cats are evil. It's just cats are cuter than Yordles.
that's true. They're both evil, but one is precious and the other one is expendable. So I could see the difference right there. And you know, they even made like a Hell Teemo skin. He deserves to be in
Oh no,
Hell
Teemo
because-
is the worst.
Yeah.
Like you could argue like for other Yordles, you know, like Rumble is very likable. I think Tristan is really fun. No, Teemo. I'm a Singed main. Teemo absolutely must die. I'll never stop reminding people that I main one of the champions in League of Legends with like the worst laning matchups of all time. I don't know why I do it to myself, but I do. Anyways, back to this.
We're finally getting back
It does
to
seem like we have dragon dances going on right now, don't we, Clement?
Ooh, Arashi gets a very early Heartbreaker off in from Husha, so Husha actually needs to find a kill in order to reset his ultimate coming into this
Look at Ozzy. I think he's caught just a little bit. Let's see if the team wants to try and get to him. He is going to be able to get his escape made. Arashi heals up with the honey for a little bit of a touch-and-go situation, straight up 5v5. I think Berjaya would like to walk away with this Drake and stop Soul Point from happening, but they got to be careful. Chains actually dodged, and Arashi going to try to get that quick smite down, but it's going to be a bit of a fight over it. He does secure it, but he is going to give his life. In the effort, I think this is going to be the 5v4. Look at that 4-man root coming in. That's the cannonball composition at work. Shockwave pulls back. Can the Berjaya Dragons make their escape cleanly? They just might do it here, Clement. Enzo walking away. And the rest of Berjaya heading close back to their turret. That's going to be the Hextech ultimatum onto Ozzy. They'll lose 2 more before all said and done.
And that's going to open up the Baron for Beyond Gaming. Really nicely played right there. They put a ton of poke onto Arashi for taking down a ward onto the top side. That's, you know, it's always not very advisable if you're the jungler. And with that single kill, they find the 5v4 and a beautiful 4-man to clean that one up. Just a little bit unfortunate. If we watched the start of this team fight, Arashi did go pretty low on some vision duty, and that was definitely not advisable. So even though they get the objective right here, he takes so much damage that the enemy team is able to just kill him and crucially get the Heartbreaker back for Husha to continue this fight going on forward. And then you see Mawan here with the flash in onto the Everfrost. That was absolutely beautiful from them.
That was a value Everfrost if I've ever seen one.
Only Minji could have been able to survive that one, getting a 3-man shockwave on the back end to allow at least 2 members to get out of that one. It's unfortunately for Berjaya, they weren't really able to fight on even footing, just losing 1 target at the start of that one. You could tell that they were going in pretty aggressively because they had summoners on K2 this time around and they thought they were on even footing. But unfortunately for them, what did we just miss?
I don't know, but Berjaya Dragons are going to turn mid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baron gone.
What did it cost?
That's fine. I would love to see a replay, but you know, it's the PCS special. We replay and replay all the time.
Yeah, it seems like Berjaya was able to get. I'm wondering if Shockwave was up
Minji
already.
has 2 more kills. Yeah, we gotta CSI this Clement. Look at the kill score before and after. Maybe Minji was running away and managed to get a fadeaway kill.
Very interesting. I felt like Beyond Gaming were fast enough on that take where I have a trouble seeing Berjaya Dragons actually denying them the Baron. So my guess is that they actually overstayed. But we'll see what actually happens right here. We're very far ahead. Okay. It seems like zoning gone wrong onto Arashi. It looks like it just wasn't working fast enough, actually.
Okay, so Arashi goes into the pit. Shockwave does land on 3. Baron just does so much damage to them. And, you know, honestly, they could have easily lost that.
They could have.
Now, as it stands, it looks like... Let's see how many they actually get away with. 2. The answer is 2. Okay. Protect the cannon minion it is.
Okay, so very close contest actually coming out from Berjaya. They do find the win here, and I feel like Beyond Gaming are in their strongest positions when they are sieging up right now. into the later phase of the game, Berjaya should scale better than them, but it's very hard for them to actually reach this Varus. You have super empowered minions across the board. You have to go through Hextech Ultimatum, a taunt from Galio, and then a Death Charge. It's really not easy for Berjaya Dragons to displace Beyond Gaming. So I feel like Beyond Gaming are actually fairly safe in just pushing in. Unless someone just gets tagged by the Death Sentence or a big Shockwave comes out, Doggo should be free to just let loose on the members of Berjaya.
Beyond are going to rotate up topside. Big minion wave had been building there, and they will empower it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, they go fishing, and that's going to be one onto Husha, but half his health bar is gone. The turn onto Arachi, and he actually just barely gets away back into base. Meanwhile, you see the Galio in mid and the Camille in the bot. Beyond Gaming are keen to push around. Hextech Ultimatum comes in. Liang, he really just wants a fair fight, but he's not going to get it. And Liang takes him down. Meanwhile, Berjaya try to find an answer. The root onto Liang to turn the damage, the taunt in onto Maoan. Or rather, Maoan turns the taunt in to a double kill for his top laner.
Oh, that was such an insane play for Maoan. He gets the 3-man taunt to stop the damage going down onto Liang. And they turn around like you said. Everything up until that point, I felt pretty good for Berjaya. But Maoan has just been on point this entire game. Immaculate with the area effect abilities.
I really just love how well they've been able to execute this cannonball composition. Moving over to the Dragon for Soul Point. I don't know if this game lasts long enough for that. Let's take a look. At the start of it, Ozzy takes a huge chunk of damage, and then the tag in from Maoan to finish the job. The turnaround from the rest of the Berjaya Dragon Squad and the 3-man taunt was beautiful.
That was huge, and Stasis is at the end to drop aggro once more. And so, unfortunately, wasn't able to land the Death Sentence or the Flay there, despite the Gravitum landing. Like, if they sequence that better, I'm pretty sure Liang dies. They should have done Gravitum into the full CC combo by Enso, but Enso actually threw his abilities out way too early. So a little bit of a misplay right there. But, you know, we have to commend Maoan, like, 4-man roots, 3-man taunts. This guy is... I think he's been quietly under the radar, having a great split so far. We have seen him sort of miss the mark on specific champions, but he's also surprised us on Akali and a LeBlanc. And now going back to something he's much more comfortable on, like the Galio, he is showing up his control mage pedigree.
And he's really helping the rest of his team to kind of start picking up the carry role. I think he's certainly a player that can, you know, play a couple different styles, but he's clearly more comfortable on one. And holy crap, is Liang just fed after all of that. Now Berjaya are going to try to run at the Beyond Gaming squad, but not going to be able to find anything. And it does seem like a little bit of desperation starts to set in for the Dragons here as they look to try and find an opening. Baron will be live in less than a minute, but their position is not very favorable to take it.
This game's been pretty interesting on how the dynamics have changed. At this point, Berjaya are pretty confident they just out-damage Beyond Gaming by quite a lot. If you look at the items coming out from Minji compared to Maoan, and if you look at the crit build coming out from K2, they definitely have the firepower to just overtake Beyond Gaming, and they're willing to go on full 5v5 fights right now. The problem with them
cannot get caught.
Yeah. The problem with them is, look at Ozzy. He's so under-leveled at this point. He was 3 levels behind Liang just a second ago. And he has had not much of an impact. The 2-man TP plays coming in from Beyond Gaming have kept this Jax behind this entire time. And it's kind of interesting to see Berjaya, even though they drafted for a specific comp, they're still able to pivot towards another win condition and just straight forcing the 5v5s to go down.
Yeah, even if it's not optimal with the Jax. Now, they do have a teleport advantage, too. Worth keeping in mind, there's still a bit of time for Maoan and Liang on those teleports. So, if Berjaya want to try and force a Baron here, they might be able to turn the fight in their favor as long as Ozzy gets his teleport off and makes it a 5v4.
True.
But there's also an open inhibitor, so dangerous play.
Yeah. It's
Against
kind of
Fed
hard
Camille?
for Ozzy to scuff that one, unless he's sure the opponent's already very far in. And talking about that, we do have one ward on the blue, over the blue wall that was not spotted here. So there is a chance for Jax to actually go for this play.
Enzo gets chunked out here, and it looks like the fight's starting. They just do not let Arashi do anything in this fight, and they even were able to melt down K2 before he reses in this. Just so much poke without even fully engaging, and flash forward for Doggo, finding the hail of arrows onto Arashi to finish things up, and that immediately means they turn for Baron.
Oh, Doggo just has so many different kinds of Kobe plays coming out. We saw the Kobe play against Mission where he flashed in and used his piercing arrow, but that was a flash blighted arrow. Like, it's really fun because it's hard to keep track of all the cooldowns when you see Doggo being able to Kobe with 2 different abilities right there. He just pushed himself in. Oh!
Doggo couldn't keep himself alive though. Ozzy showing up huge as the smite on the Baron still goes down. And I think they'll be able to get away, but man, Ozzy was done playing. He dunked on Doggo.
And Husha's gonna get tagged down right here, so that's a reset. He's not gonna be able to get him. Oh, they stopped
Liang interrupted! You gotta be kidding me! The last second on that teleport, but I don't know if they want it now as Tino tags in.
K2.
And in comes Husha once more. The shutdown, they take out K2, and all of a sudden Beyond Gaming turn a catch into one of their own.
That was bait all along, and Galil's coming back in.
Oh my goodness, it's just Dunk City right now. Arashi trying to be the hero, taking down Liang, but nothing doing. And Beyond get the ace, and they go for base.
Oh, that was such a scrappy finish to this game. Beyond Gaming looked like they were on the ropes, running away, losing Doggo at the start of that fight, and then Liang gets his teleport canceled, but he still had GA. He was perfectly fine standing there. They bait K2 to come over the wall to finish him off, and K2 didn't have flash. And nowhere to go. Beyond Gaming closeout was rather quite a back and forth game coming into this one, and congratulations for a decent bounce back on week 4.
Beyond Gaming open up their week 4 with a win. Very scrappy. We've had so many scrappy games today, but I love what they were able to do to just kind of stack ultimates on ultimates. Honestly, so many good players this game, but even though he wasn't the kill leader, I feel like we don't have control over this. Mawan's my MVP.
Oh, for sure. I think Mawan's my MVP as well. Looking back at this game, I actually felt a lot of things went wrong for Beyond Gaming. They did not get many good Herald and Drake fights earlier on, but we could talk about the win cons and the general look of the game. But first, we have to get watch Doggo just getting dunked on. Oh, that was so satisfying to see, you know, Doggo trying to zone away the rest of the team as an AD carry and just getting punished directly afterwards. That was justice served. That was really nice to see, and unfortunately Berjaya weren't able to capitalize on it fully here, and this was the critical play. If you look at Leon, it looks like his GA actually comes up in the middle of that fight. Yeah, he didn't have the GA at the start of it. It's very unfortunate.
And I really love the baits on baits. That was incredible right now, as they just turned it ahead enough to dish the damage. Minji, you know, two-stepping as he does, but he can't run away from it forever. And Beyond Gaming just managed to slam it into the ground.
Such a weird way to go for Berjaya. I feel like neither of these teams actually got their win cons to work this time around. We should have had a Berjaya with the split push advantage, but Beyond Gaming were really smart at just taking away Ozzy. They constantly had the cannonball combo onto him, gave a lot of help onto the weak side to make sure to make sure Liang was ahead in that matchup. He was up 3 levels at one point. And on the other side, we didn't have Beyond Gaming being able to pull off any of those early skirmishes to make use of their cannon combo, catch composition, and their Drake superiority early on. So this was a game where I felt like it was much more about denying the enemy what their win con was, rather than actualizing your own win con. And in a weird fashion, that sometimes is a way to play the game. Like, you can just deny them.
If you stop your opponents from winning, then they lose, and therefore you win. So it's a bit roundabout, but it works out in the end.
It definitely does. So really interesting to see them just kind of flip the draft around just with execution. And that's what I always like about strong teams, especially in the PCS, is that they have these flexibilities. Even though things don't really go right for them in the early game, they can still course correct and come up to a win, which is something that I feel like we've seen a lot from Beyond Gaming when they play early aggressive comps and they don't manage to snowball. You know, you're talking about Predator Galio trying to out team fight Aphelios, Oriana, and Jax, and it's like, I don't think that's happening. And they still find a way to close out the game, even though it was pretty messy, to be honest.
Yeah, there were certainly individual moments, I think, where like a lot of head scratchers. I'm thinking about like Doggo in the mid lane, just like really frontlining, like totally whiffs his chains of corruption, and then like just walks into the perfect thresh hook. So of course he's going to get exploded. But the execution overall 5v5 felt really good from Beyond, and I think that speaks to a level of trust, a level of ability that they all understand about each other. And when it falls back away from those macro games and turns into this scrappy team fighting game, you have to trust your experience, and Beyond did, and it paid off.
It definitely feels like Megabank Beyond Gaming are trying to use the rest of regular season to just play out all the different variations and all the different game states that Varus provides to you. This is their 5th straight game on Varus. They're not playing anything else in the bottom side, and they just want to make sure that they can have a very solid understanding of the pick and how the composition runs come the postseason. And this is one of those games where they didn't really have a good early game. If you're a Varus, what you're typically looking for is bot lane domination into Drake fight stacking. But they didn't get this game whatsoever, and they still came out with a win, despite Camille being a pick that was counter-picked by Ozzy. Liang did not have a great early game. You know, he had a teleport bot lane that didn't get him anything, and was still able to come back with a flawless KDA to win the rest of the remaining game time. So, you know, kudos to him. We still have yet to see Liang perform at the same level in terms of laning phase as compared to Spring, but his later phases in communication with his team, especially with Maoan, has definitely been able to carry Beyond Gaming.
Yeah, the coordination certainly has been able to step up, and congratulations to Beyond Gaming. We will be going on a short cooldown when we return. More of the PCS summer, so don't go anywhere.